Creator of the show is finally speaking out about its failure. The Last of Us creator Craig Mazin admits season 2 was a fake finale, drew over 50% less than the finale of season 1. You lost half of your audience.
What started as a blockbuster career moment for Bella Ramsey has now spiraled into a full-blown legal storm. Once hailed as the future face of The Last of Us, Bella is now rumored to be gearing up to take HBO to court over what insiders are calling a brutal and silent betrayal. The whispers began quietly: cancelled scripts, frozen schedules, and a total media blackout on The Last of Us Part 3. But then came the twist no one saw coming. Bella's team is allegedly preparing to sue HBO, claiming unfair termination, reputational sabotage, and breach of contract. Behind the glitz and glamour of Hollywood lies a bitter story of corporate silence and fractured trust. Bella, who was once riding high on Emmy buzz, now finds herself in a fight for her career. How did she go from being the darling of the franchise to facing such an extreme reaction? Buckle up, because this story runs deeper than anyone imagined. Sources close to the production reveal that Bella was completely blindsided by the news. There was no formal announcement, no respectful phone call, not even a quiet conversation about the future of the series. Instead, rumors began swirling across the internet, suggesting that HBO had shelved The Last of Us 3 indefinitely. At first, fans dismissed it as mere clickbait, but the silence from HBO became deafening. Even more shocking, Bella reportedly found out the same way the fans did, through social media leaks and press speculation. No warning, no heads up, just gone. To Bella and her team, this wasn't just unprofessional, it was humiliating. That's when legal advisors were brought in, and what followed was a deep dive into contracts, clauses, and confidential correspondences that could shake HBO to its core. But things were about to get even messier. As the dust settled, Bella's camp wasn't pulling any punches. Insiders familiar with the early drafts of her contract revealed that HBO had made several informal, and possibly even verbal, assurances that she would play Ellie not just in season 2, but across multiple future seasons. Now, with her role seemingly erased, Bella's legal team is reportedly exploring breach of contract claims. But there's more. They also claim that HBO's months-long silence and refusal to publicly address Bella's status damaged her professional reputation. By failing to mention her in any future plans and refusing to shut down recasting rumors, the studio allegedly allowed a narrative to grow, that Bella was difficult, unwanted, and replaceable. And that narrative? It spread like wildfire. Bella's team is even examining potential defamation by omission, a rare but increasingly used legal strategy when a company allows false public perception to harm someone's brand. But while Bella's side was building a case, HBO had their own reasons for staying quiet. Privately, HBO executives weren't just ignoring the backlash, they were studying it. Tracking metrics, collecting fan sentiment, analyzing social media trends, and what they found terrified them. Viewer engagement was slipping, and petitions calling for Bella's removal were gaining steam. Internally, HBO made a calculated decision. If Bella's involvement was becoming a liability, maybe the best move was no move at all. No public confirmation, no cancellation, just silence. They hoped the story would fade, and with it, Bella would fade too. But what they didn't anticipate was Bella fighting back. As the rumors of her termination spread, Bella's fans didn't just sit back, they exploded. Twitter turned into a battleground, Reddit threads surged with theories, and the hashtag Justice for Bella started trending globally. Within 48 hours, over 150,000 fans signed a petition demanding HBO bring Bella back. Others called for transparency, accusing the network of manipulating narratives and ghosting their lead actress to avoid accountability. For Bella's legal team, this public wave of support became a critical weapon. It showed that the backlash wasn't one-sided. It proved that the studio's silence had allowed misinformation and speculation to dominate the conversation. And as the tension mounted, the stage was set for a showdown that would shake the foundations of Hollywood itself. Stay tuned, because this is just the beginning. As the legal storm brewed, Bella Ramsey's camp wasn't holding back. The allegations against HBO grew more serious, with insiders revealing that Bella had been promised a significant role in the franchise's future. According to early drafts of her contract, HBO had made several informal assurances that she would portray Ellie not just in season 2, but across multiple seasons. Now, with her role seemingly erased, Bella's legal team was gearing up to explore breach of contract claims that could rock the network to its core. But the stakes were even higher. Bella's team argued that HBO's months-long silence and refusal to publicly address her status had severely damaged her professional reputation. By neglecting to mention her in any future plans and allowing recasting rumors to circulate unchecked, the studio allegedly fostered a narrative that painted Bella as difficult, unwanted, and easily replaceable. This narrative spread like wildfire, and Bella's team was determined to fight back. In a bold move, they began examining potential defamation by omission, a rare legal strategy that could hold HBO accountable for allowing false public perception to harm Bella's brand. Meanwhile, HBO executives were not just ignoring the backlash, they were meticulously studying it. They tracked viewer metrics, collected fan sentiment, and analyzed social media trends. What they discovered was alarming. Viewer engagement was slipping, and petitions calling for Bella's removal were gaining traction. YouTube reaction videos criticizing her performance were racking up millions of views, and the network was terrified of what this meant for their golden child. Faced with this mounting pressure, HBO made a calculated decision. If Bella's involvement was becoming a liability, perhaps the best course of action was to remain silent. No public confirmation, no cancellation, just a quiet hope that the controversy would burn itself out. They believed that any statement, even in support of Bella, would only reignite the backlash. So they chose silence, hoping the story would fade away. But Bella wasn't about to let that happen. As news of her rumored termination spread, her fans erupted in outrage. Social media became a battleground, with Twitter threads filled with theories and support for Bella. The hashtag Justice for Bella began trending globally, and within 48 hours, over 150,000 fans signed a petition demanding HBO bring her back. The public outcry was deafening, and it became clear that Bella had a powerful army behind her. For Bella's legal team, this surge of support was more than just a morale boost, it was a critical weapon in their arsenal. It demonstrated that the backlash against her wasn't one-sided and highlighted how HBO's silence had allowed misinformation to dominate the conversation. Fans compiled evidence of Bella's deleted tweets, social media clapbacks, and awkward interview clips, twisting them to frame her as toxic or ungrateful. Her lawyers argued that this added to a hostile work environment, one that HBO did little to control. But then came the real bombshell. Out of nowhere, an anonymous source leaked what appeared to be a legitimate early draft of Bella Ramsey's contract. If authentic, this document could change everything. It outlined guaranteed appearances for seasons 2 and 3, with optional extensions for spin-offs or future projects. It hinted at brand endorsements, award campaigns, and even input on script development, suggesting that Bella wasn't just a star. She was a strategic centerpiece of the franchise. Yet none of that ever materialized. Season 2 went quiet, and Season 3 disappeared. Bella's name faded from press briefings, promotional packages, and even official merchandising. Legal analysts quickly weighed in, noting that if the contract held up, HBO might have breached both monetary and creative terms, opening themselves up to a lawsuit worth millions. But the situation was becoming personal. Bella wasn't the only name dominating the headlines. As speculation about The Last of Us 3 escalated, another name quietly re-entered the spotlight: Kelly Spaney. For many fans, she was always the ideal choice to play Ellie, with a near-identical resemblance to the game's version and stellar performances in Unbelievable and Dope Sick. Rumors began to circulate that HBO had already contacted her team, strongly considering a clean slate reboot that would remove all association with the current cast. Bella's team believed this was the plan all along, arguing that she was pushed out not because of viewer numbers, but to make way for the fan favorite many had wanted from the start. If true, this could bolster a legal claim of retaliatory exclusion, a serious allegation in entertainment law. As Spaney's name trended, Bella's legal strategy intensified. Meanwhile, whispers from within the studio painted a messier picture. Tensions between Neil Druckmann, HBO producers, and Bella had reportedly been building for months. Insiders claimed Bella voiced concerns about the Season 2 storyline, pushing back on emotionally exploitative scenes and demanding more nuance in Ellie's arc. Initially, producers welcomed her feedback, but over time, it allegedly turned combative. Some said Bella was too outspoken, while others argued she was simply passionate about her character. But in Hollywood, those lines blur quickly, especially when money is involved. By the time The Last of Us 3 entered early development talks, multiple parties were reportedly clashing. Druckmann wanted to take the story darker, HBO preferred a safer approach, and Bella sought more creative control over her character. The tension reached a boiling point, and HBO made their move. They quietly froze development, dodged press inquiries, and let the controversy burn itself out. But they miscalculated. Bella wasn't about to fade away quietly. As the legal battle loomed, both Bella Ramsey's career and the Last of Us franchise teetered on the edge of a cliff. What was once a story of breakout success and artistic risk had transformed into a cautionary tale, a ticking time bomb waiting to explode. For Bella, the personal cost was undeniable. Her name, once associated with awards buzz and breakout performances, was now whispered in hushed tones across Hollywood. According to multiple insider reports, she had already been quietly dropped from at least 2 high-profile projects, and meetings that were once a formality were now being postponed indefinitely. Studios were spooked, agents were cautious, and casting directors hesitated to associate with an actress caught in a legal storm this massive, regardless of her talent. Some feared controversy, while others worried about retaliation. Almost all agreed, Bella's presence now carried weight and risk. Meanwhile, HBO's situation was equally dire. The Last of Us had been their golden child, a rare video game adaptation that earned both critical acclaim and massive ratings. But now that same franchise was at the center of a bitter public fallout, unraveling everything it once stood for. The legal complaint reportedly included demands for compensation, public acknowledgement, and even a formal correction from HBO. Legal experts warned that if this case went to court, it wouldn't stop there. Subpoenas could force the release of private emails, internal production notes, and decision-making logs. Testimonies could reveal what really happened in meetings, who pushed for Bella's removal, and whether any promises were made and subsequently broken. The damage wouldn't be limited to legal fees, it could devastate the brand. Fans would see behind the curtain, and what they find might permanently alter their connection to the story. This was no longer just about Ellie. It was about trust, integrity, power, and betrayal. The Last of Us was built on themes of survival and sacrifice, but ironically, its real-world future now hinged on something far more brutal: litigation and public relations. If HBO chose to settle, they might admit guilt. If they fought, they risked everything being dragged into the spotlight. And for Bella, this lawsuit could be the boldest move of her life or the moment that defines her career forever. As the conflict escalated, the stakes grew higher and the world watched closely. Would Bella emerge victorious, reclaiming her narrative and her place in the franchise? Or would HBO's silence and calculated moves prove too powerful to overcome? The tension was palpable and the outcome remained uncertain. But one thing was clear: the battle lines had been drawn and the fight for justice or revenge was just beginning. As whispers of a potential legal showdown swirl around Bella Ramsey and HBO, the future of the Last of Us franchise hangs in a precarious balance. Speculation runs rampant, with insiders suggesting that the stakes have never been higher. Contracts, reputations, and millions of dollars are rumored to be on the line, and the next move could redefine how Hollywood navigates its relationships with rising stars. According to unverified reports, Bella's legal team may be preparing for a courtroom battle that could expose the inner workings of HBO. If the case were to go to trial, some speculate that subpoenas could force the release of private emails, internal production notes, and decision-making logs. There's talk that testimonies could reveal the truth behind closed doors: who allegedly pushed for Bella's removal, what promises may have been made, and whether HBO's silence was a calculated strategy to protect their brand at her expense. The mere possibility of such revelations has sent shockwaves through the industry, with many insiders speculating about the potential fallout. For Bella, this rumored lawsuit could represent more than just a legal maneuver. It might be seen as a fight for her identity and her place in an industry that often discards talent when the pressure mounts. Supporters rally around her, viewing her as a young artist standing up against a powerful corporation. They argue that her legal action, if it exists, is not a desperate bid for relevance but a demand for respect in an industry that too often elevates stars only to cast them aside when the going gets tough. However, critics have a different perspective. Some suggest that Bella was miscast from the start and that the backlash against her was deserved. They argue that HBO may have every right to move in a new direction, framing the legal action as a power play, a last-ditch effort to stay relevant in a story that has seemingly moved on without her. This divide among fans and industry insiders has sparked passionate debates across social media platforms, with speculation about the implications of Bella's next steps. As the public scrutiny intensifies, HBO is reportedly facing mounting pressure to address the situation. The network's silence is becoming increasingly untenable, and the fear of further backlash looms large. Insiders speculate that they may have to decide whether to settle with Bella, potentially admitting guilt, or to fight back, risking everything being dragged into the spotlight. The clock is ticking and the stakes are high. In the midst of this turmoil, Bella's fans continue to rally support. The hashtag Justice for Bella remains a trending topic, and petitions demanding her reinstatement have reportedly garnered hundreds of thousands of signatures. This public outcry serves as a powerful reminder that Bella may not be alone in this fight. She could have a legion of supporters who believe in her talent and her right to be treated with dignity. As rumors swirl about the potential legal battle, both sides are said to be preparing for what could be a defining moment in their respective narratives. Bella's team might be ready to present their case, armed with evidence that could potentially shake HBO's defense. Meanwhile, HBO executives are rumored to be strategizing their next move, weighing the risks of a public trial against the potential fallout of a settlement. Ultimately, the outcome of this conflict, if it even materializes, could set a precedent for how Hollywood navigates the complex relationships between talent and studios. Will this be a turning point for rising stars, empowering them to stand up for their rights, or will it serve as a cautionary tale, warning young actors of the risks involved in speaking out? As the speculation continues, one thing seems clear: The Last of Us is no longer just a show. It has transformed into a battleground, reflecting the struggles faced by many in the industry. Contracts, reputations, and millions of dollars hang in the balance, and the next move, whether it leads to a courtroom showdown or a backroom settlement, could redefine not just this franchise, but the entire landscape of Hollywood. So what do you think? Was Bella Ramsey unfairly terminated, or was HBO justified in moving on? Is this a battle for justice, or a warning to every young actor who dares to speak up? The conversation is far from over, and as the story unfolds, we invite you to share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more deep dives into Hollywood's biggest feuds, cover-ups, and untold stories. Because if there's one thing this town has taught us, it's that the truth always comes out, just never the way you expect it.